Yo, what is going on, my friends? Welcome to another episode of the Cash Physical Therapy Headquarters podcast. Today, we're chatting about something that very, very rarely ever gets to be talked about. In fact, it's the very first time that this is ever going to be talked about in the context of a cash physical therapy practice. Ben, what are we talking about, dude?
Inc. 5000, baby.
Does it work?
Nope.
Oh, that's really going to piss me off later. And it's in my coffee. I'm going to have to clean all that up now. But worth it. Ben's practice, Pro+Kinetix, has made it into the Inc. 5000 list of the fastest growing companies in the United States. Luckily, these are all really big, so these will be easy to clean up, which is no small feat. And right alongside him, Clinical Marketer has also made it into the Inc. 5000. So this is the very first time that a cash physical therapy practice has ever made it into the Inc. 5000. There's some coaching companies that help cash physical therapists who have made it in the Inc. 5000, but that was their coaching company. This is the first time that an actual practice has gotten there. And so what Ben and I decided would be a great discussion and topics to help all of you today is, what did that journey look like? What does the journey look like getting to the level where you're one of the fastest growing companies in the country, where you have a multi-7-figure business that gives you the life that you actually want to have? So we're going to talk through the different phases of the journey that got us into the Inc. 5000. And then we're going to talk about what we did right, what we did wrong, and what life looked like in each individual one of those stages. Because I know many of you, you're in a space in your practice right now, and right now it's really just about survival. And this is already pissing me off. There's shit everywhere. But you're in a spot where you're maybe doubting what it is that you're capable of doing, and you're not sure how far you can actually take this. And it's really just about wanting to fill your schedule, but you don't realize the road that's ahead of you, and you're aiming for a position that's going to put you in the most uncomfortable phase of building a company. And most people just sit there and then give up on their practice because they think owning a business sucks, because they just weren't thinking long-term enough. And so our goal here today is to demystify the path to owning a 7-figure business that actually gives you like the dream life that you want to have, while also getting to transform the lives of not only your patients, but of the PTs and the clinicians that you bring into your world, and get to create their dream jobs for themselves too. So this is going to be one hell of a special episode.
Yeah, I think it's important to also highlight that my expectation by sharing my story here and just showing that's possible, that somebody else can do it even faster. I guess that would probably be I'd say the number one thing that was most challenging.
Yeah.
When I started and also scaling, was there was nobody that had achieved like true scale of a cash practice.
Yeah, I remember you telling me.
Yeah. So it's just kind of difficult to if nobody else has done it before, is it like even possible? Right. And so that does, like, subconsciously, that's always in the back of your head. Like, am I stupid for thinking this is even possible, and all that too. And that was really challenging. To be honest, like, that was probably the hardest thing, was just wondering if what I was trying to do is actually even possible. If I had somebody that showed me like this was possible, it would have changed things dramatically. And I think I could have definitely done it faster and done it with a lot more confidence. There's just so much uncertainty with what was possible and what was not. And I think that was probably the hardest thing. Not just that we're going to talk about different stages and stuff, but I think that is probably the number one thing throughout all stages that was most difficult, was just uncertainty of what was
100%. And that, it never goes away, because growth and control are opposite forces. And when you don't have control, you don't have certainty. And so it's basically just living in a perpetual state of uncertainty, but like believing in yourself enough to like still take those risks and knowing that you're going to figure it out. But I remember when you first were referred over to us, like 6 years ago now.
Yeah, 6 or 7.
When you started as a client, like, you and I hit it off right away, because we both had our sights set on like building 7-figure businesses. And you specifically mentioned, it's like, there's nobody in cash physical therapy who's even close to that. So I got to figure it all out myself. And that's what led to all the cool, fun conversations we've had that turned us into, really good friends and eventually business partners. So I'm pumped to dive into this whole thing. So there's 4 stages. There's the 0 to 20K a month stage, the 20 to 50, the 50 to 100, and then the 100 to like 200K a month phases. Those are, to me, the stages that required the most change in order to get to the next level. And it is always so incredibly painful because there's always very specific skills and lessons that you need at each and every one of those stages to get to that next level. So do you remember when you first started out, 0 to 20K a month? What did you do right?
Yeah, I want to kind of set the stage too of, I'll talk about that stage, but I also want to preface like, because there might be some people on the podcast that haven't started their business at all and like might be just like thinking about and toying with it. So I'll start from the very beginning. It was, to get into PT school is really challenging for me. I didn't know I wanted to do PT until like until my junior year of college. And so I had no prerequisites done. I didn't have biology done. I didn't have physics. I didn't have chemistry. And at that point I had like a 3.1 GPA, which just isn't competitive to get into PT school. And so, yeah. And so I really had to like know that, hey, if I really want to be able to have a shot of getting in, I need to get not just A's throughout, but I need to get A's in these very challenging classes, and also take a lot of classes of these challenging classes in like very small chunk of time here. I had to take all those prerequisites in a matter of 6 semesters is what it came down to, right? And so very challenging coursework in a short amount of time, while also trying to get straight A's to be able to even maybe, again, uncertainty, I might still not get in. But I'm telling you, I got to bust my ass to get into PT school. This is important for the next phase of the story on it. But once I got accepted, I'd applied to 10 PT schools to get into one. And when I got into PT school, I was just super excited and happy to be there, right? Because I'd worked so hard. And then I did my first clinical rotation. And I was like, oh shit. And it was like a mill outpatient clinic. I'm like, damn, I don't know if this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
You know, like, this is not how I imagine physical therapy. This is not imagine myself being able to do for the next 40, 50 years, you know? And so at that point I had to kind of make a decision, like, do I drop out or do I stick with it? And I was like, well, dropping out's not an option. That's why I told the story beforehand, like, bust my ass to get here. I'm going to find a way to make this profession work and be what I actually want it to be. And I'm like, all right, but I also know that going with this mill route is not sustainable either. And so I came across cash physical therapy, and listened tons of different podcasts, download all the free resources. So PT school is 3 years long. Started diving into the cash physical therapy world at the beginning of my second year. By my third year, I was spending more time learning about business than I was like in PT school, like clinical stuff.
Yeah.
And just scooted by as like bottom of my class on it. I was like, you know what, a degree is a degree. I want to be able to hit the ground running. And so third year of PT school, during my clinical rotations, I was really just listening to all podcasts, absorbing all free content that I possibly could on my way to clinical rotations, on the way back home, over summer break, stuff like that. And so I knew I wanted to do cash pay, but I also grew up in Iowa, and I was like, I don't know if I want to actually settle down in Iowa. And so I was like, let's travel for like a year or two, get some of my student loans paid down, and then I'll start my cash-based practice back in Iowa or wherever I decide I want to settle down. I just need to figure out like where I want to settle down, because when I settle down and open my practice, I'm kind of glued there, right? And so I took a traveling contract out in the Bay Area. Originally wanted to go to San Diego, but I got my California license. Wasn't able to get to San Diego because everybody wants to go to San Diego as a new grad. And so I had a hard time, but my traveling agent's like, got a 13-week rotation, and in Bay Area, it's just 13 weeks to go there. And I'm like, sure, why not? I got there, and it's like a mill. Again, another mill, 20 patients a day. And I was like, all right, it's just 13 weeks, but I don't know if I can do this for 2 years. I don't know if I can do this traveling thing for 2 years. Like, you know what? I got this playbook of everything that I studied for the last year and a half of cash pay PT. I don't know anybody, can't really embarrass myself. Let's open shop. Let's rent from a gym. And if it doesn't work, no big deal. Out of here in 13 weeks anyways. It's like, I'll take what I learned and take it back to Iowa or wherever I end up next. I was not expecting it to work that fast, where it's like, oh, all right, I want to actually stay here. But it did. It grew more quick than I thought, and I ended up staying in the Bay Area. I got to the 13-week rotation. I had like 15 patients on my caseload. I was getting really close to being able to replace my income. I was like, you know what? Got a good thing here. worked my ass off the last 13 weeks to build these relationships and build a really solid foundation here. And so that was the time frame of 0 to 20K. Was in a new city and not knowing anybody. And I think that was probably the toughest part, but it also everything that's a negative or a con can be a pro. You know, everybody's like, well, if you try and open shop in a place you don't know, it makes it really tough, which is true. But I think that's something you got to do throughout business is flip the negatives into a positive. I chose it to see as a superpower. As like, I don't really give a shit what people think because I don't know anybody out here. So I'm going to walk my ass into these gyms. I'm going to pitch like, because I don't give a shit. You know, I can embarrass myself. And so that was a superpower that I had because I didn't know anybody, right? Versus thinking as a negative. And that's what actually allowed me to pump out so many workshops, get out in the community because I didn't care. I didn't know anybody, right? And that's what allowed me to go from 0 to 20K. It was just a lot of on the boots work. Just it's really not a whole lot of strategy, just grind is what 0 to 20K looks like. So I know I was long-winded for the 0 to 20K. I wanted to highlight
it's such a powerful story because it's like, one, it like highlights that, you know, you don't have to have always wanted to own your own business. Like you weighed the options. It was, what's riskier, continuing to do this for the next couple years, even though it gives me stability, but I hate my life? Or is it riskier for me to go gamble and give it 12 months of everything I got to see what I can make of my life if I just bet on me? And I think that's like the thing that everyone's so terrified to make because they're not appropriately analyzing what are your actual options. It's like you can stay here and live a very complacent and mediocre life in a job that you don't love and do that for the rest of your life, or you can go all in and bet on yourself and build your own business. And worst case scenario is you go back to where you started. Like there's so much fear around doing this stuff. It's like the worst case scenario is you right back where you started. You know, it's like it's not that big of a deal. But to your point of you didn't know anybody, so you didn't give a shit about what other people thought. That is literally, for many of you who aren't taking that step to start your own business, those of you who are struggling inside of your practice, you're struggling because you care about what other people think. So you're not doing the things that you know you need to do. And so you can travel to a different part of the world where you don't know anybody, which I think is really powerful to learn a lot about yourself when you don't have those external pressures and expectations on who you are. Or you can just say, screw it, and stop caring what people think and start putting the reps in to get your name out there to learn more things. So I think you owe yourself, like, it takes a lot to do that. And it's really hard to take that leap of faith. But my God, how different your life would be if you never did.
Yeah, I think about that a lot, actually. Like, damn, if I did not do that, would I be in 8-foot ceilings, fluorescent lights with seeing 15, 20 patients? Like, holy shit.
So thank God for those terrible jobs that you had, because that is what created the epiphany to go and do this, which created an entirely different life. So again, like the polarity of like, everything bad can be good. Like you needed those bad experiences to push you and create the circumstances where you had to fight like hell to make your life better. And now you're running the most profitable cash physical therapy practice in the world on the Inc. 5000 list. I'll be quick on this one, but like we had a really similar situation with Max and I, where we were the chief technology officer and the chief marketing officer for a company called UpDoc Media. And I love those guys, Gene and Ben. I owe a lot to them, just teaching me how to think like an entrepreneur, how to think like a CEO, putting me in contact with people that I otherwise wouldn't have had contact with in the physical therapy world. Love those guys. But it got to the point where it's like, we're working 50, 60-hour weeks, but we're like not able to pay rent. I remember talking to one of my mentors and like, you know, telling him it's like things aren't that bad, but he kept grilling me on it, and he ended up breaking me into tears of like, yeah, it is that bad. I can't buy groceries right now, and I hate my life. And that's what led to like, okay, Max and I quit those jobs and started our first like marketing agency for physical therapists. And if it weren't for that trying time and weighing the options of like, can I really keep doing this? Like, I know what I have to do to make this sustainable. And would I rather do that for someone else or do that for me? And the choice was obvious. And so, yeah, I totally agree. The biggest thing that we did right from 0 to 20K is believing that we could do it and taking that leap of faith and just doing everything we can to get our name out there. Both of us did the same thing. I didn't do ads to get to the first 20K. It was all hustle and Dream 100 and relationship marketing.
Exactly. It's you can get to 0 to 20K off just effort.
Yeah.
But when you get to 20K, you kind of get fucked by that effort though too, because you can't just grind yourself to 50K, and that's where people get stuck too. I actually think 0 to 20K was a lot of fun because it was new and exciting.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, I talked about this a little bit earlier in the podcast, like, oh, I'm really close to replacing my income. Once I can do that, I'm good, and boy, oh boy, that's not the case on it. And so you're grinding to get 20K, reach your goal. You're like, ah, shit, now I'm dealing with all the reschedules. I'm doing all the calls. I'm seeing 25 patients a week. I'm doing all the workshops. I'm doing all this. And the thing is grind got me here. And for me to be able to stay here, I have to keep grinding. If I don't grind, I can't even maintain. But at the same level, you're stuck in a tough spot because to get to 20 to 50K, you can't grind your way harder. That's what it comes down to. So now you can't just work hard. You also have to work smarter. And if you don't work smarter, you're going to be stuck grinding. And if you can't maintain that grind, you lose your business. So that's a really tough
You can't do it. Your life's just going to suck.
Yeah.
We've seen people do it. And it's just like,
well, we see people do it for a few years, but Cash PT has been around enough to see if somebody can sustain this for 10, 20 years.
Yep.
I think that's very few people can sustain that kind of grind for 10, 20 plus years. At that point, you might as well just go work in a mill. Honestly, it's more the same, but different is what it comes down to at that 20K mark.
Right. So what's some of the stuff that we did wrong at that 0 to 20K?
I think not beginning with the end in mind on it. Like, I wish I had a little bit more foresight of hiring earlier.
Agreed.
Would be a big one, or thinking about hiring, thinking about like, hey, where do I truly want to take this? And if it's like, and this just is business, like starting on, you just don't know what you don't know. And I should have had the foresight, like, what are you going to do? Fucking 30, you're going to do 50 workshops a week or a month to get to, $3 million, $4 million, $5 million practice. No, it's not sustainable. Right. And so I wish I would have started looking at more sustainable scaling methods. So like ranking higher on Google, collecting more Google reviews, making that a focus, Facebook ads, meta ads, Google ads, and focusing on things that truly scale. Like we did in 2025, we did over $2.5 million and we did 3 workshops. We did less workshops a year
paid
than
ads
we did in a month, starting out in 0 to 20K, so that's 2 things. Wish I would have started hiring a little bit earlier and had that foresight. 2 would be thinking more, beginning with the end in mind, and what does scale actually truly entail, and what the things I need to be doing right now to get me there. But curious on your side of things.
Totally agree with that for different reasons. Like, because when we first started out, like 20K a month, it was like, oh my God, that'll change my life. I'll finally feel like I can say that this is working and feel like I'm capable of doing this. Like that was the proof I needed to know that like I can do this. I needed to hit that number. And so as long as that was the goal, it was like 20K was like this really big deal. But the problem is like you need to, when you start with the end in mind, you start looking and thinking of much larger numbers. And so you're thinking of like, okay, if I want to live this life, I need to have this income. In order to have this income, my practice needs to be here. And suddenly 20K a month, 30K a month, that's not like a big deal. And so when you start with the end in mind, your growth is exponential. We're dealing with multiplication because we're thinking bigger, asking bigger questions, leading to bigger and faster results. Whereas when we don't start with the end in mind, all we're thinking of is like, okay, I want to get to 10K. Now I want to get to 20K. Now I want to get to 30K. And we're thinking incrementally, which makes our growth very slow and painful. It's addition versus multiplication. And I wish I would have started with the end in mind, because I would have realized that 20K a month sucks, because the life I actually want to live, well, I'm getting paid 20K a month. And that means that 20K a month That's not good. That's actually really bad. I'm very far away from my goal. And if I had that perspective from the get-go, I wouldn't be so comfortable and complacent with this like incremental progress, because I'd be fully aware of how far away I still am from the life I actually want. And so I second that. I wish I had seen the math and faced reality sooner of, in order to get this to where I want it to be, the numbers I need to be going after are much bigger, much bigger. Yeah. And life in that stage was kind of fun because everything's new and exciting, but let's talk about 20 to 50 because that's a different feeling. What'd you do right when you were jumping from 20 to 50K a month?
I think, and this is where some people say that I've heard a lot of people say that this was actually a mistake, but I think it's actually the thing that was most important is I retained doing all the phone calls. So I didn't hire a front desk to do phone calls. I did hire a front desk, but they did all the administrative stuff. I kept doing the intake phone calls. And then I hired on a physical therapist. So those were the things I did right. I brought on a physical therapist first, and then I brought on a front desk after that. And then throughout the entire time, I was retaining phone calls. So I'll talk about why that can be a mistake or viewed as a mistake, or it can be viewed as a positive. I'm big on hiring a physical therapist first. It's much easier to bring on a physical therapist than train a front desk, especially if you're having the front desk do sales and doing those first phone calls. So I think that's one thing I did right, was hiring a physical therapist first. And not dwelling too much on sitting at the 20K, like really, truly being able to forecast 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, not being okay with the 20K and how uncomfortable it was just to have to do everything and be able to get out that as fast as possible. I was not at 20K for long. Like 3 months, I was at 20K, worst 3 months. I've been in business for almost 8 years now. That was the worst 3 months of entirety of owning a business, seeing my patients, doing everything. So that was one thing I did do right, was getting out of that situation as fast as possible and hiring a PT, and be able to see that foresight. So many people stick there for too long, and don't hire when they're actually ready.
Right.
Yeah.
And I get it, because it's like you finally hit that number. And so you want to like sit there for a while because you're afraid if you make any changes, you're going to lose everything. Totally get that, because it is a grind to get there. But we stayed there for way too long. We were wearing all the hats, doing absolutely everything, and just so burnt out, because not only like were we getting new clients, but it's like having to fulfill on all of that, do all of the sales, do all of the marketing. That was the most we had worked ever. And it was horrible. And so we got to the point where it's like, okay, yeah, we definitely need to like change something here. So what we started to do at that 20K mark, which I'm so grateful for now, is we started posting content every single week. And so every single week I would do some sort of live or some sort of training that I would release to people. And so it started getting my name out there, started building an audience, started building a community, started to get to know people, and just kept showing up until people started to come to us. So we didn't have to like hustle and grind so hard to make money and get sales. People started coming to us because I kept putting value out to the marketplace and developing that I don't know, that callus of not caring what other people think, and like developing the skill of putting content out there, making good stuff and being seen, and sometimes making stuff that sucked and sometimes stuff that worked really, really well. And because of that, now it's like I'm fearless with creating content and releasing stuff, because even if it sucks, it just means nobody's going to see it. And if it sucks, no one actually went through it. And if it sucks, no one's going to remember it. So it's like no longer gave a shit, just put out content, and it started putting out a ton of value. And that's what got us from 20 to 50, is just consistently showing up, giving value selflessly, not holding anything back, and letting people come back to us.
Yeah, I think that's a tough thing about the 20K mark is like you're doing so much, like you said, that you're like, oh, now hiring, that's just another thing. Like people think that to scale, you're doing more. And so now they're like, well, I'm already struggling with what I have to do now, let alone scaling and adding all these other things to my plate. Thing is, you're doing addition through subtraction is what it comes down to. You are going to have to do a little bit more work with the hiring, but then you get your time back. on it too. And so that's kind of the big leap. I think that one of the biggest leaps that people have to make in their business is that first hire.
Mm.
It's probably the toughest mental barrier. It's not the toughest task from like success rate on it. It's just the mindset is it's a big for most people. I think that if looking back, that was definitely top 3 biggest mindset jumps I've had to make in my business was hiring that first PT.
Yeah, but absolutely nothing is going to like sharpen your skills and your game that faster than hiring somebody, because having that additional responsibility, having someone else who's like really good setting the bar that you need to like constantly be above it. I mean, if it's uncomfortable, but like it changes you in such a positive way, similar to like a new parent. It's just new responsibility, new focus, new drive, new time management, and you're willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that you don't let this person down. And that pressure is what turns you into a great leader. And so if you're terrified of hiring someone, that's normal. It should be. But who would you rather be? The person who is too afraid to like take on that kind of responsibility, or the person who people actually want to work for? Well, it's like the cost of becoming person B, who you all want to be seen as a leader and someone who's capable of like leading and managing people. Well, the cost of that is the discomfort of figuring it the hell out.
Mhm.
So you got to take that jump and just trust yourself that you're going to do everything in your power to make it work. And if it doesn't, that's fine, because those lessons are going to be the exact things that you need to become great at it. So it's like, worst case scenario, it doesn't work out. That's fine. Learn from it. Hire again. Keep doing it until you're the leader that you need to be to build the business that you actually want to have. That's just the cost of becoming great. I'm sure Michael Jordan got his ass kicked a ton and lost a tremendous number of games. But if it weren't for those losses, he wouldn't be Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I think also like growing up, he actually had an older brother that was better than he was. And that's for the way he got better. His brother just beat the crap out of him on the court day in and day out, and that's how he got better. And Michael Jordan's talked about his brother's like he actually would have been one of the best NBA players to ever live if he would have kept growing. I think he stopped growing at like 6'2", 6'3", and Michael Jordan I think 6'6", 6'7". But Michael Jordan has said multiple times that he was better than I was. He just stopped growing. If he would have been 6'6", he would have been better than I was, which is interesting. So, but yeah, it just goes back to your point. You need to get beat down sometimes to be able to rise up too.
Right. No one ever became great by having simple things in their life all the time. And if you can, life's going to be hard either way. So I would personally rather make my life compress the difficultness into a shorter period of time so that I can live with peace of mind and freedom the rest of my life, rather than dealing with familiar, more common problems that everyone else has forever.
Yeah.
So hiring's a hell of a good way to do it, or having a really good like group. Like you, Max, and I, like we're one hell of a team because every single one of us we all keep leveling up. But when you level up, I level up. When I level up, Max levels up. When Max levels up, I level, and it just keeps going back and forth. We keep building off each other. It's not that it's a competition; it's the responsibility. It's not letting our team and partners down because you stopped growing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that, I mean, that's the three of us working together to constantly be upping our game. That's why we got the Inc. 5000 at the same time. 100%.
Good point. It's a really good point.
Yeah.
I agree with
that. Anything that you did wrong in the 20 to 50K?
Yeah, I think just not having enough modules and onboarding training created before they started, and just having that support for them. But that kind of also that's not really necessarily a mistake from 20 to 50K. That's more of a mistake from 0 to 20.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a blend. That's something that didn't go quite as right as I wanted to, just with her support standpoint. I think, also 20K mark was probably around 20 to 25 patients. I got up to 25 to 30. And I should have hired on sooner. So I would have just stayed at 20 patients per month or per week, because when that PT came on, like I was busy seeing patients. I couldn't give him the one-on-one support. It wasn't just modules. It was also just like the one-on-one support that I needed. I was too busy with treatment. So that was another mistake too, was taking on too many patients. And also like knowing how to hand off patients to him and how to tee him up for success and how to pitch him on that phone call, because a lot of people want to work with me, right? Because a lot of, at that point, is like organic growth, and so it's a lot of referrals, right? So referrals referring because they want to see me, and so it was kind of difficult to know how to have that conversation. Now I know how to have that conversation, but that's something I also struggled with at the time too.
Yep. Yeah. Exact same on the clinical marketer side. We hired some great people and we lost some great people just because we didn't create a good enough environment for them to be successful, because we didn't have enough training. We're too busy working on other things to really give them the leadership that they needed. And something that I know now that I wish I knew then is that our jobs that we're offering to people working at our company, like, it is a product for your staff. And so our product was really bad. We didn't have good training. We didn't have good systems. And so a lot of people they hire and they think that people work for them because of the money. And just because you have patients coming in, that means like, oh yeah, people are going to want to work with me. It's like that's not the case. You're selling a product, and that product is the outcome is a fulfilling and happy lifestyle where they're able to accomplish the things that they want to do and be successful within that role. And so I wish I could go back and have like a 90-day ramp up period where we have key touch points, very structured training, and a curriculum for them to go through, for them to look at it and be like, holy crap, like, this is the best onboarding I've ever had. No other job I've ever had this level of like training to help me not only do the job well, but also become like the best version of myself. Because that's what creates culture. That's what creates retention. That's what creates loyalty in people who could probably start their own business, but instead decide to stick with you because of how operationally sound you run this organization, because they see it going the distance and people want to be a part of that. And so, yeah, I think if I could go back or started a brand new company, before we hired anyone, that training curriculum, that's going to be a world-class product that potential staff want to buy and invest in.
Yeah, it's funny we were actually talking about this on the podcast today because yesterday we had our new PT on board, complete new grad, first evaluation you ever saw as a new grad right out of school, 16-pack paid in full.
Boom.
Because of the trainings, the onboarding that we've done, the one-on-ones that we've done before his first day as well. So I think I need to joke with him. I need to give him a call today and be like, hey, you just generated the most that any other physical therapist ever has out of their first, their first patient that we're seeing, like $3,500 package. I mean, we've had a couple people sell like 10 packs, I think, painful for sure.
Yep.
I don't know if we've had anybody sell a 16-pack, a $3,500 package for the very first patient they saw at PT school. And I know damn well that's probably not helping anywhere else. So
right,
and joke with him about that too, and congratulate him too. So.
No, that's epic. Huge testament to Naomi and Emma, your clinic directors, who are helping facilitate that training that you put together. I mean, they're doing incredible. Their talk at Clinical Marketer Live was huge. That was epic. I know one thing that I did really wrong at this stage was not being fully in control of my own time. I was firefighting every single day and just reactive to everything. So everything was growing, and I was happy with that. I was making good money, but it was just so stressful. Every day was just chaos. Definitely didn't have any peace of mind. And so what I wish I had started doing quickly sooner was analyzing where my time was going, actually tracking my data so that I knew what my goals were, where I was off track, and what I should actually be doing, because I was just a slave to my clients and my team. Every single thing depended on me. And I wish I was better at tracking data at that point so that I could more effectively delegate things and make sure I was focused on the right stuff and being okay with some things being on fire, because I knew the numbers still balanced out. And that's all that matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think just the power. That's another mistake, was just not knowing my numbers as much as I should have as well during that stage. Because you're just kind of operating from a flying by the seat of your own pants at that point on it. It's just very stressful, and you're kind of just going based on emotion.
Yeah. So that's what you know, 20, like the 50K mark feels like it's kind of chaos. You're still refining your systems, you're still figuring stuff out because you only just recently made your first hire. There's a lot of new skills that have to be developed: time management, leadership, data tracking. And so it's an uncomfortable time, but if you hang in there and you keep working on the right stuff, you reach a new level of calm because everything settles, it's repeatable, it's simple. And this is, I feel like, the first time in the business where like I felt like I could like catch my breath a little bit. It's like a long grind to get to 50K and then a grind to settle everything down so it's repeatable and scalable, not dependent on either of us. But yeah, 50K was the first time I was like, I could go on vacation, you know?
Yeah. And like also I've got something here. I've got a true business at this point. It wasn't
Right.
just I 0 to 20K. It's just a hobby at that point. It's a job you create for yourself. It's a hobby. It's really not a true business in my opinion until you get to that
Right.
50K.
Now you're a business manager and you're running the ship. Let's talk about 50 to 100.
Yeah, 50 to 100 was a good spot because I was just like, great. So, like from 0 to 20, it's just doing more of kind of 0 to 20 is just like doing more and more and more. And
Yep.
then the 20 to 50K, it's like, all right, now I got to completely kind of reinvent myself, reinvent this machine I've created. I'm not calling it a business, I'm reinventing the machine that I created. And then you get that 50K mark, you brought on a PT, brought on a front desk. You're like, great. Now I'm kind of back to that 0 to 20K piece that I enjoyed of just now I need to do more of the same.
Yep.
So that was something I did really well. Is like once I had that next PT hired up and full. I had the foresight to before he's actually full to know, hey, I need to start looking and hiring PT. So we didn't have a massive wait list after that first PT because I had more foresight and like, hey, I know where I want to grow and go to and grow to, and so I need to start thinking about hiring. And so that was something I did much better. The second time was hiring earlier for that second PT. I actually needed them, and then working myself and decrease. And that was something I also did really well. Was I started decreasing my patient care very quickly. I started getting that second PT onboarded too. So that was definitely better. So those are the two things that I think went well. Thing that I think it could have done better was leadership. Again, just like being able to learn what motivated them, what was going to help them stick around, and why did they want to stay. That was a big thing that I struggled with. It was so focused on me. Like, what do I get out of this? What do I just because at the end of the day, that was something that's other challenging when you start hiring on somebody else. Now you're responsible for their livelihood. And like this sounds bad, but at the same time, like I was just trying to make sure I could support them. And I knew that as long as I could continue to focus on the business and making sure that I was in a good spot, we would be in a good place. And so started not really including them as much as I should have in getting insight into how they were feeling and how they thought things were going. So I was so focused on just making sure that the ship was going to continue to wasn't going to sink because then they won't have a job, right? So I thought I was doing the best things in their best interest, but I wasn't fully. And so learning how to lead was the most challenging thing from 50 to 100 for us. But curious on what it was for you.
Yeah, man. Similar because like we got to 50K, super like, things had calmed down to a point where I could like breathe a little bit, but we're completely capped out. We're completely maxed out. And I knew in order to double the business, like what got us there wasn't going to get us to 100K. And that's when I was introduced to Traction for the first time and Buy Back Your Time, and all these like really good operating system books that one helped us get our data in order of like what should we be tracking, what's the order of operations for like scaling a business, where should we be focused right now, where are we overspending, where are we underspending, how much should we actually be allocating to payroll versus marketing, and how much should I be making. I wish I had learned and got my hands on those books way earlier. But yeah, at 50K is when I first got introduced to them. So what got us from 50 to 100 was one, creating our actual like our org chart, like starting to delegate more responsibility to other people. Because using Buy Back My Time, I was able to take a look at like, okay, what's like essential, what can be delegated, what should be canceled. like what's not important and what can be saved for later. And once I started getting in the rhythm of like tracking, like what am I doing every single day? Like where's my time going? And then starting to delegate those to other people within the organization and empowering them to do it. That was a life changer for sure, because I think until you get to that breaking point, you're kind of under the assumption that no one else can do this but me. I'm the best person to do it. But the first time you start to really start to delegate some like core responsibilities of the business, not just like tactical things, you start to realize how eagerly people on your team want to have that responsibility. They want to build things that help the business grow. And that was the first time I realized it was like, oh my God, there's people on my team that are doing like really cool shit that I don't even know they're doing, but it's like moving the business forward. And I'm just like check in, like, or I have an idea of like, hey, I think we need to do this. And they're like, oh, it's done. Like that's the coolest thing ever. So creating better organizational structure, tracking our data, and then living in the 90-day world of setting quarterly rocks, reverse engineering those into monthly goals, weekly goals, and KPIs. That changed everything. That simplified the whole business. That got a bunch of crap off my plate so I could start growing again. And once you have that, once you have the proven structure of what got you to 50, you document exactly what worked and then systematize it using like books like Traction and Buy Back Your Time. Well, now doubling it and continuing to grow becomes really, really easy. 50 to 100 was actually a really easy climb for us because of that.
Yeah, I think that's where I think Clinical Marketer had an easier time 50 to 100K than Pro+Kinetix did 50 to 100.
Yeah, you had to find PTs.
It was finding PTs. I really struggled with leadership. Like honestly, like I still like that's probably my biggest weakness. I should say leadership of different levels on it. Yeah. I'm really good at and do a great job of. I don't really say leadership. It's more so collaboration with Emma and Naomi, and like individuals that are operating at a higher level. I do a great job with leadership. I do a really good job with that, and I say it's not really leadership; it's collaborating with them at this point. Like my one-on-ones I have with them each week are some of like my favorite hours of the week. It's fun, right? Where I really struggled was with people like just kind of showing up on time. You know, personal things that were coming up that were getting in the way. Like there's personal things that Emma and Naomi both had happen. I've had personal things. We work through it. We don't let it impact work. But that's where I struggle with 50 to 100K was there's just other things that is just like having to be more of a therapist than anything was really tough for me. And so there's also part of it was like some of the employees weren't the right team members for Pro+Kinetix and deciphering, hey, is it my lack of leadership ability to connect with you or is it because you're not the right fit? And that was really challenging. 50 to 100K was a pretty tough go at it for me personally because of that. And I just realized, hey, we'll get into like 100 to 200. That was a really fun spot because I was able to outsource some leadership piece of it. I didn't have to like do things I wasn't great at and also didn't enjoy doing. So, but yeah, 50 to 100K was kind of tough. So,
yeah, but now you now like Clinical Marketer had the lead for a while, and then Pro+Kinetix just blew past them or blew past us. Because one, I think like that struggle for you forced you to build better systems for leading people, whereas Clinical Marketer still very much depends on me and Max being that like emotional like leaders within the company and helping deal with all that stuff, which I do think maybe prolongs some problems that could have been solved faster. So I think either way, like if you're a really good emotional leader or you're more of like an operational leader, like both of those have like their pros and cons. So don't think that Ben and I couldn't be more like opposite in like how our brains work and how we lead people, but both absolutely work. There's different like growth seasons and different challenges that have to be overcome to keep growing. And now you have such a strong foundation. You're growing like crazy because it doesn't require an emotional leader somewhere in the middle kind of guiding everything.
Yeah. I can be in my zone of genius now, whereas I wasn't able to be that at that 50 to 100K mark versus for you thrive in that, right? But then on the back end, it's more challenging, right? So
it's sticking the mud for sure.
Yeah. And so that I think there's pros and cons with everything. you know?
Yep.
And so I think that's why it was such a struggle for me then, because I didn't have the skill set that Jordan has on that. But on the back end of things, now that I can be in the operational leadership and more something that's more natural to me, now things really fly. And now I have Emma and Naomi are great at doing what Jordan's able to do and have that skill set. And that's what the 100 to 200K mark per month was all about, was getting clinic directors in there that could lead. I was getting effective at doing it. It just drained the shit out of me.
Yeah.
I can do this, but also I was remote too. So that made it challenging as well. It wasn't person. Like, we need somebody in person as well. And so being able to promote Emma and Naomi into that was just really the key that unlocked everything, because they love that. They love that stuff. They love, just like you do. It drains the crap out of me. But now I get to just lead Emma and Naomi and our sales team, who are a bunch of go-getters, and not having to, like, obviously I'm very respectful on our calls, but I don't have to like filter. I can be myself. I don't have to feel like I'm tiptoeing around, everybody's feelings on things. We all say what we want to say, because we know it all comes from a good spot. We know we all respect one another, and we're all in leadership positions for a reason. And so we can move really quickly because we're not tiptoeing around feelings, and I can just be in my operational zone of genius, and we just crank out things, get things done. And it's really fun.
Hell yeah. Yep. Got to have that. You got to know how each other's minds work. I think one tip for all the viewers here is, like, you also have to learn, because it took, like, this is why you struggled with, like, your PTs, because you are somebody who just figures it out and does what it takes, gets it done, doesn't complain. And employees aren't like that. And you and I get really frustrated with people when it's like they do stupid stuff or ask stupid questions. Like, that's frustrating, because, like, we would never be in that situation. And that makes it, like, really difficult to, like, you need someone in there sometimes who can have, like, more patience for people, who see the world a little bit more similarly to, like, employees and staff does. I think bringing on clinic directors is the best thing for, like, a real entrepreneur to do, for sure. Get that stuff off your plate so you can focus on the entrepreneur stuff.
Yeah. I think Emma and Naomi have it a little bit easier now. Not that their position's easy by any means. It is a lot easier now because we have great players. We got great team members at the employee level, as well, for PTs that we didn't have before. And so that does make things easier. So I'm, like, reflecting on, like, I think yes, there was definitely some of me issues going on there, but I think also just it was really difficult because we didn't have the right A players that we do now, for it. That maybe I would enjoy managing the team that we have now, with regards to the PTs and the front desk, because of the team that we have. But yeah, so that's something we said too.
I love it. And life now?
Yeah, we're really pushing it. I mean, we're going to do 350K. We're going to do 350K this month.
That's insane.
Yeah, and so my calendars, I have 4 hour time blocks for Pro+Kinetix. That's it. I have a meeting with Emma and Naomi. I lead our sales team meeting, and then I meet with our sales director as well, who is getting ready to take over. She actually just started taking over and leading the sales team calls with me on there, but eventually I'll pull myself out of the sales team. So I'll just have 3 calls a week, one with our sales director, one meeting with Emma, who's our clinic director in Oakland, and then our clinic director, Naomi, in San Diego. Everything else is spent on clinical marketer, real estate, and doing the things for Pro+Kinetix I enjoy doing. I geeked out last night. I just built out our entire playbook. We're going to be raising our rates in January 1st. And I built out an entire playbook for Naomi on how to have conversations with the PTs to get buy-in. Built out a playbook on, like, it's a 2-page PDF for the PTs to how to have conversations with new patients as well as current patients on the rate raise. So, like, operationally, I get to spend my entire day doing what I love doing. That's just the operations thing, and then giving that to Naomi to run with, and it really just feels like playing Roller Coaster Tycoon and Monopoly day in and day out. It's fun.
I agree. It's being CEO of a company that's doing, like, 750. First, like, congratulations, brother. Like, I want to do some quick math. How many hours are you putting in on Pro+Kinetix a week?
4 scheduled hours. I mean, I'm still working.
4 scheduled hours. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm still working probably 40 to 60 hours. Across.
You're going to hit $100,000 in profit this month. And that is
And that's just for
16
Pro+Kinetix.
hours. Your hourly rate in Pro+Kinetix is over $6,500 an hour. You get paid personally, almost.
Yeah.
That is gangster, and it's all a function of just following these steps that we've outlined, making, learn from the map that we just outlined, read the books we talked about, and start with the end in mind and keep pushing forward. Don't, as long as you keep learning from every single setback, it's like, that is a win. That is a win. There's no such thing as failure until you quit or give up or second guess yourself. So huge congrats to you on that, man. That's huge.
Thanks. Yeah. I think it's fun too, because like the resources I created for my team, I dropped that in the Slack channel for the mastermind members. So it's like I killed two birds with one stone. Like I'm building out Pro+Kinetix. I'm also building out part of Clinical Marketer and helping build all these other clinics all at the same time. Like how fun is that? And so I think that's a fun part about why you should really try and grow and scale, so you can make your schedule and do whatever you want to do. Whether that's, you want to go sip pina coladas on a beach, you can go and do that. But or you can do what I do and work from 7 to 9 p.m. building out this playbook. And that's what brings me joy, right? And so I think that's the power of scaling, is you really get to choose what you get most fulfillment out of and what fills your cup.
Right. I want to end it on this thing. Like, once you get to this level, you're literally just playing, because you've delegated all the stuff you don't want to do. You have a well-oiled machine that runs without you, that's printing profit every single month. And everyone else, it's other people's job to worry about the day-to-day fires and problems. You don't have to worry about that. So you have peace of mind every single day. And so Ben, he's focused on problems that are 6 to 12 months away. For Clinical Marketer, Max and I, we're thinking about, how do we automate all marketing using AI? How do we build AI tools and agents to automate reporting, ads, internal marketing, emails, content creation? And so while the rest of our team's worried about the fires and day-to-day stuff within the business, we get to live in the, wonderland and focus on, like, what's the problem that is coming down the road, and what can I build now so that I can mitigate the potential problems there or prevent them from happening altogether. That's going to keep me at like the forefront ahead of everybody else. And that is the best place to live, because now we get to live however we want. We have the money to live how most people can't. And all we're doing is playing games. Like, how do we win in the future? How do we build something in the next 6 to 12 months that completely shatters the ceiling that's above us and completely destroys the competitors who don't have the luxury of having the time to live, 6 to 12 months ahead of everyone else. It's the best game ever.
Yeah, you also grow faster because you're not operating from a level of anxiety. Like, I could retire today with my investment. So like, I can take risk. I really should take calculated risk, which ultimately, because I'm taking these calculated risks, makes the business grow faster. And I do it with less anxiety. Right. So your quality of life improves and your business actually grows faster because of it too. So it's really truly a cheat code when you can really start getting to that 100 to 200K a month.
Right. So we're able to do this in 6 years. Now live a life that most people only get to dream about. And most people can do this. They just won't, because of fear of going all in on themselves, worrying about what other people are going to think. And so a lot of people listening to this, you're still on that like edge of going all in on yourself. And to circle back to the very beginning, what Ben and I were talking about is, you got to weigh the odds. Do you want to keep living the rest of your life the way that you are right now? Or would you rather go all in on yourself, get beaten up a little bit along the way, but within 5 to 6 years, set yourself free, where you get to do whatever you want, you work on what you want, you go where you want. And it just takes 6 years if you do exactly the way that Ben and I did. But most of our mastermind members are hitting 7 figures faster and faster every single year. Last year, we awarded 12 people our 7-figure impact award, and they were able to get there in about 4 years. This year, we awarded 5 more people our 7-figure impact award, and they were able to do it in 3 years. And so it's just like the 4-minute mile. As Ben gets better in his business, as I get better in mine and our curriculum gets better and better and our coaches get better at facilitating that curriculum, people are getting those results faster and faster and faster. So if you're willing to be courageous, do hard shit, bet on yourself, and show up every single day and hold yourself accountable and just do the things you say you're going to do, you can live a very, very different life just 3 years from now. But you got to go all in. You got to make that choice right here and now that you're going to do it.
Yeah, it's been a hell of a ride. It's been fun. So.
Amen to that. Guys, if you got value out of this podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want to work with Ben and I and figure out what we're doing to allow practice owners to go from 10K a month to 7 figures in 3 years, we'll go to clinicalmarketer.com and apply, fill out an application. And if it's a good fit, we'll hop on a call, break down a custom game plan, reverse engineer your dream life, figure out what practice you need to have in order to sustain that, and figure out what step 1, step 2, step 3. And then we'll work with you directly to help build out those systems and support you every step of the way. I'm going to clean up this confetti now because my office is completely destroyed.
You're so welcome.
Cool. Peace, everybody.
Yes.